KO preview. In recent years, we've seen a lot of vehicle combat games, and I've played and enjoyed quite a few of them. Tanks are too slow, but stick a gun on an off-road buggy and I'll drive around until the bumper falls off, shooting at everything that even looks like it might explode. I've seen hovercrafts, hover tanks, modified cars, and now with KO we have Mars rovers with shotgun cannons on top. The core of KO is strong. The cars handle really nicely, albeit a little slidey across the mostly sand environments, and the weapons feel weighty and impactful. The game has a clear style, and even at a distance it is easy to tell what is an enemy and what is terrain. KO also comes with an electro-rock soundtrack that wouldn't have been amiss in a late 90s or early 2000s cyberpunk movie. There are 9 vehicles currently in the game, each with different driving stats, health, and weapon systems, similar to characters in a class-based shooter. KO starts you off with enough currency called scrap to purchase one, a support class vehicle that can disable enemies and give minor boosts and buffs to allies as well as fire a shotgun-style blast from the top-mounted cannon. Also in the store are cosmetic upgrades which are only purchasable with creds, a paid currency. I tried to play with my controller, and while the game worked I found aiming to be far too difficult with the joystick, and the driving to be perfectly acceptable with a keyboard. KO makes allusions to a lock-on system in both tutorials and in the keybins, but I was unable to get this to work. I therefore swapped to keyboard and mouse, preferring the improved aim over better driving control. It is possible that the lock-on only works in matches, but I would be unable to tell you as I was unable to get into a game of KO. There are 2 modes, a team deathmatch with a score limit and a control zones mode, but neither of the game modes have anyone playing. In fact, KO suffers from the same problem as many other vehicle combat games. They cater to an audience that just isn't big enough. I also wasn't overly fond of the audio in KO. The expected booms for guns and odd sound effects for abilities were there, but engaging with an enemy wasn't very exciting and didn't sound much different than me shooting a wall. The soundtrack in the background is also the same, a bland beat on a constant loop. A very dull audio experience indeed. Longevity. Here's where I have to stick it to Redcatpig Studio a bit, but hear me out. KO has a great concept overall. One of the major setbacks right now is that it is nearly impossible to get into a match unless you have other friends with the game that you are inviting to a private match. They have already tried to address this by adding the ability to change your region. However, changing the region doesn't help much at all when all of them are red equals poor. The region option disappears when you go into any of the menus. I spent more time staring at the matchmaking screen, which also times out after 10 minutes, than ever playing the game. The 2 matches I did end up getting were also only 1v1 matches, far from the experience I was hoping for. In the early access notes, Redcatpig Studio states that this version of KO will be mainly focused on gameplay, so users will find 2 complete game modes, 6 vehicles that can be unlocked with 24 weapons. I'm sorry, what? Yes, there are 2 game modes, sure. But as far as I've seen there is only 1 map per game mode. On the KO store page and on the Redcatpig Studio website, they promote KO as recipient of several Best Game awards and nominations from different events in 2018. So the game has been in development for at least 3 years and that's all you add to play in early access. Come on. Man. The game mode I was hoping for, Team Racing, is only listed as being planned to be added at release of the full version, which is thoroughly disappointing. KO is a great concept for a game. Nevertheless, having a great concept and producing a top-notch game can be quite different. Even as an early access game, there needs to be some hard focus on polishing the game sooner rather than later. I really feel that Redcatpig Studio was relying too much on their previous awards, pre-pandemic, to ride into a smooth early access. In my opinion, they need to spend less time on adding additional vehicles and weapons, and more time on adding additional maps to the limited game modes and adjusting the matchmaking to make the game playable. Until then, I'd give this a pass.